So a crazy match to set up this Champions League final between Real Madrid and, just a nutty game the other night with Bayern Munich. And at the end, controversial comeback, offsides, no offsides, video review, etc. Do you think the refs screwed Bayern Munich?
Well, I was apoplectic because I bought into Munich going through. I love the way that they were kind of Real Madriding Real Madrid. They were keeping them at bay. It looked as if it was winding down, and there was enough time for Real Madrid to get back into it, and they did. But I wanted it to go into extra time. Like I said, I was apoplectic, but my colleague Andrew Gundling talked me down, and he did point out the referee blows the whistle, which is the mistake. He should let that play develop. But once he blows it, it's done. It's dead. And it did materially impact the Real Madrid defenders who stopped. So we don't know if the goalkeeper might have pulled off a save, if Lunin might have saved from De Ligt. We don't know how the defenders would have reacted had the whistle not been blown. The mistake was the whistle being blown. But once that happens, DA, it's like the voice of God. It's done. And it was a real shame that the referee did that. And it was a real shame the linesman put his flag up. But I'm not going to say Bayern Munich got screwed on that. It really came down for me. The guy who was standing on his head, who had an outstanding performance, was the Bayern Munich goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer. He was keeping everything out. And then what you would describe as a basic handling error allows Joselu to score. And yeah, the inevitable was on its way with Real Madrid.
What is it about Real's home field advantage, their stadium, that creates these types of insane comebacks and magical moments? Because no matter what they believe, no matter how much they're down, that there's some type of mysticism going on in that stadium that they will find a way to win.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've delved into the occult to try and find reasons for this. I suggested this concept of residual energy, that a club can just carry the energy of previous triumphs forward and propel it when needed in a game, which is total effing nonsense. It makes no sense. Look, they play well. They can do this kind of thing outside of that building as well. I saw it in Paris, where Courtois stood on his head in goal for them in the Champions League final in 2022, and Liverpool didn't win. Somehow did not win. So they've been doing this for a while now. In fact, even when Ronaldo was with them, they pulled off results that they shouldn't have pulled off, considering the way the games were going, the way the games were developing in so many big games. Do you know what it comes down to, DA? It comes down to that if you've got really good players and a little bit of sports luck, you have an opportunity, and they take the opportunity every single time. And that's just it, really. They have very, very good footballers. And, they have the depth to be able to bring on Luka Modric, who's not a guaranteed starter for them anymore. And this guy can pick locks, can unlock defenses, can do amazing things. It's probably just about having really good players.
Give me your early preview of Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final coming up June 1st.
By the time we get there, and I think already Vegas are making Real Madrid unbackable favorites. You've got Borussia Dortmund against, who are fifth and lost today in the Bundesliga with a kind of a changed team. They're not going to be anywhere in the bookies' thoughts. It'll be Real Madrid as favorites. Borussia Dortmund are an amazing story. Like, they've had a fairly wretched domestic season, or not a good one. And yet they've come up with these amazing performances, keeping PSG and Kylian Mbappe scoreless across 180 minutes in a Champions League semi-final is incredible. They come in as the firm underdogs. I want to believe that we can see something special here from, like, I told Andrew, my co-host, I was hoping there'll be like some late Marco Reus winner off the bench to score in his final game for Borussia Dortmund, a Borussia Dortmund hero, or maybe a Füllkrug header or Mats Hummels goal, something like that. I think it's going to be Real Madrid. I don't think they'll blow them away. I think Dortmund have found a way to be compact and hard to beat, as they proved against Dembele and Mbappe and Vitinha. But God, it's so hard to bet against Real Madrid. Again, this is their competition. Imagine their domestic competition in Spain it is not their competition in the same way the Champions League is. So it's hard to look at this early stage. Things can happen, injuries can happen. At this early stage, it's looking like Real Madrid. I would love it to be Borussia Dortmund, who are just a great story and a club that's always been a selling club. They've always had to get rid of their talent. It's either gone to Bayern Munich in the case of Robert Lewandowski so many years ago, or the case of Jadon Sancho, who's now come back from Manchester United after being bought by Manchester United. He's come back on loan. He's doing these amazing things for them. So the romantic in me wants Borussia Dortmund. But the cold-hearted analyst says Real Madrid, unfortunately.
Tell me why Man City's dominance in the Premier League, speaking of the Premier League, is not embraced. What is it that just does not resonate with a lot of fans?
The first point is that a lot of fans just feel as if it's been bought. If you buy a Ferrari, DA, and it does 150 miles an hour on the turnpike, which you shouldn't do, but if you do it, that's what the car is built to do. That's what you paid the money for. And the sense is that Manchester City, through being owned by a nation state, the United Arab Emirates, have bought a club that was, they've come in, they've bought Manchester City, and they've made it into this machine that should win. And it is winning. It's got the best manager in the world. It's got the best infrastructure, and it buys the best players. So it's just doing what it's supposed to do. And that's just cold. People don't respond to that. They don't find that interesting. They won a treble last season. Who is talking about it anymore? Nobody. Nobody cares.
So it would be a little bit like if the Dodgers just started stacking World Series after World Series after World Series. They spend the most money. They've got the best farm system. They're winning World Series. And it'll be like, this is kind of boring.
Well, yeah. And it's a bit like LeBron's attitude to winning with the Heat. Like he knew when he went to South Beach and they put together that team, he was supposed to win. And so when he won, the next thing on his list was, well, I got to win with a hometown team for whom this will be a story. This will mean something. This wasn't bought. There's also 115 charges by the Premier League against Manchester City for essentially, and I'll break it down. I'm not going to read all 115. That would be some great Sunday night listening. But for essentially cheating, or not cheating, lying about not being upfront about where their money has come from and sponsorship, etc. So there's this sense that A, it's been bought, and B, it's even when it's bought, it's been done unfairly. And so people can't get behind that. And also, in fairness to Manchester City, this was a team that was relegated regularly sent to the second tier of English football. Not a big club. So they're bought by a nation state. They're supercharged. They haven't had time to build a fan base big enough that people care. Like when Liverpool win, there's parts of Africa, Asia, America who rejoice in that because they've got decades of success. Manchester United too. Manchester City don't have that, and therefore it's hard for them to resonate as much as they try. It's like turning a minor league team into the San Francisco Giants in the space of a decade. I mean, it's just hard to build the history that other clubs have, and it's a problem for them. And by the way, they do have a good history in and of itself. It's a good history, but it's been supercharged by oil money for the last 12, 15 years.
Let me wrap up with this. What's your feelings on Wrexham? Because you have Ryan Reynolds stepping in and celebrity owners, and they built a Netflix show around this. And so now casuals are into fourth tier, third tier English soccer. And it's an amazing story. It's very interesting, but it is very much a Hollywood splash on it. So what's your thinking on it, good or bad for the sport?
So there's two ways to look at it. The first thing that makes me say good is that this is a working class town. They changed their own light bulbs in this town. This is, and a team that was kind of a sleeping giant for years. I remember them beating Arsenal in the Cup in 1992. And they've been revitalized, and it's a good story, but they've been given access to money that the teams around them, certainly when they were in non-league in the fourth tier, were not able to get access to. And so straight away, that's a sort of financial doping. So I don't like the aspect of the money being pumped in, but you watch the documentary and it's really, really good. And I've decided to maybe like temper my take on the money, just relax a bit about it, and just say, it's good that a light is being shone down the pyramid on League Two, on League One, where they'll be next season, and probably they'll be in the Championship the following season. Now, is it a good example to say to Americans with plenty of money, come in here, buy a small team, and then you can bring them all the way to the Premier League? I don't know if I love that concept. I would like some kind of evenness and egalitarianism amongst all the teams to make these teams sustainable, because in other cases that aren't Wrexham, Damon, there's like clubs like Bolton and Bury who went out of business, who, you know, really pumped money into their club and it was not financially sustainable. Is Wrexham financially sustainable without Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney? No, it's not. I would like sustainability. I would like these clubs to be on a level where the money they put in is money that they can generate through revenue, and they don't need Aviation Gin or United Airlines, like United Airlines sponsoring Wrexham. When I see that stuff, I do roll my eyes, because I want an equal playing field, and that's not equal. But in terms of shining a light on the lower leagues, which is just so great, that's brilliant. So there, I haven't really answered the question. I've said it's good. I've said it's bad.
No, but that's fair. There's two sides to this. Yeah, which what makes this an interesting story, which is, I knew you'd have good thoughts on this. It's because, like, Americans had no idea just how bad Wrexham was. I mean, you're talking about 5th division, 4th division English soccer.
And how do you survive even? You know,
and there's no comp in America. It would be like if a rookie league baseball team or like a Cape Cod summer team suddenly was bought by Ryan Reynolds, and, like you said, had an airline as the sponsor, and now suddenly was just like moving up through the ranks, and one day was going to be playing Major League Baseball. You'd be like, what the hell is going on here?
Right. And I mean, you saw in the documentary, and in fairness, they are very open about it. They didn't really hide very much. Remember, they relayed the surface of the field and it cost like $300,000.
Yeah.
And it was wrong, and they had to spend it again. And so they spent over $500,000 trying to get the field right. No other club in non-league football could have done that. Like nothing. And they, like I said, they exposed it, they showed it. And that's the difference. You know, I just want an equal world, DA. You know, I want it in the real world, and I want it in the sporting world. Just like everyone has a shot.